here we go. We're going to look at a recap of how to solve quadratic problems. And we're going to use our test equation here, x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. And we're going to solve it in the three different methods you should know: factorising, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to have a go at the first one. Then I'll go through it with you. So have a go at factorising this, and then I'll go through that. Then I'll give you another 60 seconds to have a go at completing the square. Maybe 2 minutes just to do the quadratic formula. Right, here we go. And I'm just going to set my timer for 60 seconds, see if I can explain it in 60 seconds as well. So first of all, I always like to write out my equations again, because I've got them there immediate and in my mind. So I want two things that times together to give me 16, that subtract to give me 6x. And things that times together to give me 16 are 1 and 16, 4 and 4. Well, they're not going to combine to give me 6, but I've got 8 and 2. If I take them away, I can get 6x. So if I do x plus 8 and x minus 2, they combine to give me the plus 6x. And you can always check this by multiplying out, but that's not for this video. So either x plus 8 must equal 0, or x minus 2 must equal 0. Because you've got two things times together. These are blue things, just one number each times together. So x plus 8 is one number, x minus 2 is another number, times them together. One of them must equal 0 to get 0. So therefore x plus 8 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. And if x plus 8 equals 0, that means x equals minus 8. Or if x minus 2 equals 0, then x must equal 2. Our solution using factorisation is x minus 8, or x is 2. Now we're going to give you another 60 seconds to have a go at trying to complete the square. Here we go, completing the square. So again, I always like to write out my number, equation even. So I've got x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. And to complete the square, remember we always start off by halving this number. So let's halve that number. And we get the x plus 3 in the brackets, square it. Now we always, I think, a good idea to take away this number squared. So we're going to take away 3 squared, and then we just add on this number at the end. Get minus 16. And then this equation which I've got on this line perfectly matches the equation on that line. You can multiply out to check. I'm not doing that in this lesson, that's for completing the square lesson. So therefore, let's just simplify this. I get x plus 3 squared. Minus 3 squared is minus 9, minus 16 is minus 25, and that equals 0. So let's get, now we can get the 25 to the other side. x plus 3 squared will equal 25. A common mistake is to try and get things to the other side here and try and get x on its own. It's not possible here. We have to complete the square or factorise if to get x on its own. And then we find out the square root of 25. And we square root 25. But because this is squared, any number squared, okay, if it's positive, it will equal that number, and if it's negative, will equal that number. So, for example, 2 squared is 4, minus 2 squared is 4. So therefore, if something squared equals 4, it must be plus or minus 2. So we always put plus or minus on this stage when we're undoing this. Again, that more detail for that for completing the square lesson. And I'm just going to, take off that 3. To take 3 off that side, I need to take 3 off this side. And I've got 3 plus or minus square root of 25. Well, the square root of 25 is 5. And we can see minus 3 plus 5 is going to be 2. And minus 3 minus 5 will give us minus 8. So again, we get the same answer for x. Now you're going to have a go at the quadratic formula. And I'm going to give you again another 60 seconds just to have a go at that. And see how you get on with doing that. Hopefully you get the same answer again. Well, here it goes. Now, again, we've got x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. And the quadratic formula works if you have anything of ax squared plus bx plus c, anything that looks like that, you can use quadratic formula. And you can replace the a in the quadratic formula. That's how many lots of x squared you got. You can replace the b, okay, in the quadratic formula with how many lots of x you got. Sorry, a was how many lots of x squared you got, b is how many lots of x. And then obviously the c here, we're going to quadratic formula, is the thing on the end. Notice I highlighted in both these cases the signs. The signs must go in there as well. Really important. So therefore, in this case, we've got 1x squared, so a will equal 1. And we've got 6 x's, so b will equal 6. And the c on the end is minus 16. Remember I said the sign goes with it. So now we can put that into our formula. So x will equal minus b, so it's minus 6, plus or minus. Note the plus or minus again because of this square root thing. B squared is 6 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1 again, times c. Now I always recommend you always put your minuses in brackets. It doesn't matter here, but in some parts like squaring, it really does matter. If you get into the habit of always putting negative numbers in brackets, you're less likely to go wrong. And we've got 2 all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put that into a calculator. I'm going to get my old friend Desmos up. So I'm going to put Desmos off to one side. And we're going to just type that in. Let's just scroll across, get that equation in next to my Desmos. So what have we got? We're going to type in minus 6. Actually, what I'm going to do is actually just put the fraction button, because I know most students like to put the fraction in first. And you get minus 6. And we'll just do the plus bit first. So plus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times, the dots on here means times, times, and I'm going to put minus 16 in brackets, and then I've got to to the bottom. I'm going to do 2 times 1. And we can see I get the answer 2. And now what I can do, and you can probably do that in your calculator as well, is you go back, you change that plus into a minus. And you get the answer -8. Exactly the same answer again. Okay, we've recapped and we've got 3 ways to do any quadratic. And you can choose any 3 ways unless it specifically tells you which way to do it. Okay, if it specifically tells you a way to do it, you have to do that way, it will get no marks. But if it doesn't, you can choose anywhere. And I always reckon spend about 10-20 seconds seeing if you can factorize. If you can't, generally actually jump into the quadratic formula is a great way to do it. Some people use completing the square. It's up to you.